we know that Russia, first of all, we know that Russia has to earn money to be able to fund the war, and oil was one of the major like resources of Russia to be able to fund its very expensive war against Ukraine, which is going for more than 4 years. This is not an easy thing to fund. So about Ukrainian work with the deep strikes and the decreasing of Russian capacities of oil refinery, it very much affects the very ability of Russia to fund the war, because the economic losses that Russia got from it are more than 13 billion only this year dollars. And if the prices for oil and products, because of the conflict in the Middle East, would not be well rising for some times, then the losses of Russian economy would be even better. This is the first point. The second point would be gas shortages around Russia, which causes multiple things. It causes Russian society to feel the war and to understand that Russia is not capable of well, of fighting this war against Ukraine without Russian citizens being involved and feeling that. And this is very important, especially before the elections which Russia would have in autumn this year. Secondary, the fuel also is, of course, very much used by Russian military. And we see how our deep strikes not only on oil infrastructure, but also on logistics, on Russian logistics on the south of Ukraine and in occupied Crimea. They already disrupted the ability of Russian grouping there to be able to conduct successful attacks. This grouping, which is called Dnieper, of Russian forces, is less successful than all of the other groupings. So the fuel is something that Russian military needs very desperately, and if logistics is not good enough to for this fuel to be transported, this very much affects the very front line, the battles that we're having on different areas of this war. I think that this would be my two most important points, but this is not something that would affect Russia and make the whole field collapse, unfortunately. But all of this strikes, all of this bites that Ukrainian deep strikes and middle strikes are doing for the Russian economy and for the Russian oil infrastructure is very much affecting Russia in very different ways. And this is everything we need. Deep strikes as a thing from Ukrainian defense forces started in the late 2022. So it's been quite some time during which Ukrainian drone producers and the Ukrainian military could evolve in technology and in operating the drones. So of course we see changes not only in quantity but in quality of launching everything. And our only one producer, but major one, the Firepoint company, right now it produces around 200 drones per day and around 100 Flamingo cruise missiles a month. As of now, we have four major priorities on our deep strikes. The first one is, as we have spoken about it, the oil refinery capacities, because this is the very thing that is funding the war. The second is, well, the air defense systems, the radars, etc. Well, the next is logistics and the military objects, meaning military factories, the warehouses of Russian missiles, etc., etc. Wildberries are in this 4 points of Ukrainian priorities on the last place, meaning that this is Russian logistics. But as we can see, it very much affects the ability of Russians to do everything regarding the front line rapidly, because the wildberries are the biggest e-commerce network in Russia, and they were involved and are still involved hugely in military procurement, because just before the beginning of Ukrainian strikes on wildberries warehouses, on their very website, there was a hashtag under which you could look for things that you could need for the front line, which was called hashtag everything for the special military operation. So wildberries are very much part of Russian logistics, which is making Russian military well, able to do everything rapidly. But together with that, 4 priorities that we have now are showing us results. And we see that from 2022, when Ukraine started the deep strikes, we were starting back then with the air defense systems, of course, because this is the first thing that is very much on the way if you want to strike deep into Russian rear. And as of now, we see how successful the strikes on oil refinery system and port infrastructure, etc., are. So Ukrainian forces need to just continue to do that, because this is what actually brings us results, and this is the structure of Russian economy would not be different in the coming years. We just need to constantly hit at the same place to make it work. Well, I would not say that, because if consider Russian successes on the front line during the entire last months, so during the entire July 2026, Russia was able to take over around 35 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory, just for example, to make another example of Russian advancements. In 2024, Russian advances were more than that in one day, 50 square kilometers in one day. And now we are talking about 35 square kilometers per month. So this is, I would say, this is very much showing the ability of Russian forces to, to continue this war at the pace that they were planning to. And well, the Russian losses are enormous, and they continue to grow. During last months, we saw, if I'm not mistaken, more than 45,000 casualties, like wounded and dead from the Russian side. And the ratio between wounded and dead is not like in any other conflict, as even American authorities were stating during this the last couple of months, is that the ratio between wounded and dead in Russia right now is 1 to 3. So 1 wounded, 3 dead. So this is the enormous casualties that everything is bringing, the Russian advancement is bringing right now, together with very small actual advancement in territories, is bringing us to the to the idea that Russian advancement on the front line, on the actual front line, together with Ukrainian strikes, is not affecting in the bad way for Ukraine.